The left's defund the police nonsense is still wreaking havoc on Democrat cities. This time as massive mob, about 100 people ransacking a Los Angeles area gas station, acting like they own the place and helping themselves to thousands of dollars worth of alcohol and snacks. Police said they couldn't intervene because they were outnumbered. I'm sure Radical District Attorney George Gascon will let them off with a warning. And in nearby Los Angeles, newly elected left-wing Mayor Karen Bass is desperate to add new officers to the force after losing over 1,000 to resignations and retirements.
My number one job as mayor is to keep Angelenos safe. But unfortunately, the reality is that LAPD is down hundreds of officers. This has been an ongoing trend in LA and in cities across the country. And so I'm concerned that the department's recent release of information will cause even more officers to leave. My budget proposal calls for urgent action to hire hundreds of officers next year on the way to restoring the department to full strength.
Judge, I want to know what you think about this.
Well, you know, it's very interesting. She wants to replace, I think it's like 1,000 are gone with, you know, hundreds of officers. You can replace them, but when you've got kids in gangs of 500 or more and a police department that has been beaten down, demeaned, and their arrests are not being supported, where the kids are going in or the defendants or suspects are going in and then being released within a minute, I mean, you've got law enforcement that is totally demoralized. They've been beaten down to the point where they're not even making arrests. Plus, they're being outnumbered. Look at this. I mean, I've heard all day about cases in Compton and Los Angeles where police haven't gotten involved because there's only 2 or 3 of them with a gang like this. Let me tell you what the problem really is. It started in 2015. You remember the Freddie Gray case where you had the mayor saying something like, you know, you got to give them a little breath so they can, you know, they can do what they need to do. It's something like, we gave those who wish to destroy space to destroy. So Baltimore burned. It was looted. There were businesses destroyed. And then the Chicago mayor yesterday who says, you know, these mass protests, I mean, they're just teens rioting, protesting poverty and segregation. That was the senator. And then you've got everyone kind of apologizing for these kids. And so we're never going to end any of this destruction and takedown as long as the laws that are in place stay in place. You've got police who are not incentivized to make an arrest, a criminal justice system that is incentivized and required by law to release the accused. And it happens every weekend, and nobody's getting upset about it. And so it's not going to change. I'm telling you, it's not going to change.
You know, Dana, you look at the mayor that was just elected in Chicago, and he says, you got to let these kids breathe a little. You got to give them a safe place to go be crazy, I guess. And then now Karen Bass is in L.A., and she's saying, no, we need more police officers. Is she at least saying the right thing?
Well, yeah, well, I mean, I think she's saying the obvious, which they obviously need more police officers. So if you lose 1,000 police officers, it's not like you just lost all the rookies. You lost all that experience, which means then you don't have all of those experienced officers in order to train. That's the same in the military, right? Like, if you need to have people who have longevity with the organization and the institution in order to make sure that the good practices are passed down. And I also felt like in her comments, maybe if you read the words on paper, it would be one thing, but listening to her, it is like she was reading a Mother's Day proclamation. Where's the concern? Like, I believe in communication, talking about persuasion. You have to meet people where they are in terms of your level of concern and your tone. So where's the conviction? Where's the passion? I think that she recognizes she's caught the car, and now she doesn't know what to do necessarily, because where are you going to find those officers? The other thing is, nobody's talking about the worker at that gas station. He hid in the bathroom while this was happening, and then he comes out and he finds, okay, everything's destroyed, and there's no consequences. So what happened to the Democrats in terms of the working people's party, right?
Well,
who's going to want to go to work if you can do this and have no consequences?
Greg, what Dana's talking about is accountability. What are 1,000 more police officers going to do if all they can do is stand there and watch it happen?
Yeah, we said this yesterday, that the irony is, if you tell a group of people that they can't have anything in life, that means they can do whatever they want.
Yeah.
So there are no consequences and no accountability. Why, you know, an example is they use the phrase street takeovers. They're seeing these street takeovers. Why? Because Buttigieg says streets are racist. So by propagating this ideology of losers, that you have to look back and everything you see is bad. Grocery stores are racist. White people inside them are racist. Traffic laws are racist. Police dogs are racist. Roads are racist. Then basically it all adds up into a society that has it coming. And this isn't something new. If you remember, during the riots, there were a lot of liberals and I think magazines like New York Magazine and others that were saying that the looting was justified. That is how they get their justice in a world that's racist. So what happens is what you have are these groups are doing things and they don't care about the consequences because their life's already screwed. Meanwhile, majority of society want black and brown people to achieve their biggest dreams because that helps everybody. We want everybody to be happy. The side that keeps saying that your life sucks because it's irrevocably racist, they're destroying those lives. What you're seeing is the product of a poisonous, toxic left-wing ideology.
I don't want Alabama fans to be happy. Just but Harold, this is as much a softball as I can give you. We talk about the South LA, Watts, Compton. We talk about South side of Chicago, East New York. Are there just certain areas in these big cities that no matter what the politicians do, they're just always going to have trouble with things like this?
Well, I like tough questions. So I'd say two things. First, we need probably 2,000 to 3,000 more officers in Los Angeles. Los Angeles, and Greg has a better perspective on this than others. When you look at the big cities in the country, the geography of Los Angeles is just different than a Chicago or Dallas or New York. It's just bigger. So you may need, this is no excuse for this, don't get me wrong. I think, I agree with a lot, and you can say what you guys want to say about me agreeing. I agree with what you're saying about how we've put a set of expectations on a lot of these kids. I remember if you were ever doing anything wrong, you would never want to film it. They were filming what they were doing, which is an amazing and astonishing thing to me. I hope that, and I said this yesterday on Dana's show, I hope that the committee that's here in New York that was here yesterday, the Judiciary Committee, I hope they travel to Los Angeles and San Francisco and Chicago. And I hope as a part of what they're doing, I think there's politics involved with everything, but two things can be right. There's a crime problem and there's politics. I hope as they do these things and they highlight some of the shortcomings of what the politicians and the politics in those areas are doing, that they perhaps offer some answers. It might be great if you told the city of Los Angeles, I make this up, if they need 2,000 or you need 3,000 new officers, we'll give you the resources for it, but you've got to change this to get it. Because if indeed the mayor's right about wanting 400 to 500 officers, she probably needs more, Your Honor. Let her understand this is what we will do to help you. I listened to Speaker McCarthy here in New York yesterday. He laid out a list of things he would do to raise the debt ceiling. They should do that with crime and other things as well, because if you think about public safety, it used to then be a political issue. It used to be an issue. It was an issue before where Democrats and Republicans, we all agreed on what was right and wrong. And what I just saw there happen in Compton, that was wrong. Yeah. Your parents should be telling you that's wrong. And if you are going to do that, your parents should at least tell you, don't film it.
Can I say one thing? There was a change between 22 and 23 in Compton. Crime going up 81%. That is a signal to the rest of us that when we're not arresting, more of them are going to come out and commit crimes. It's real easy.
Compton's had a crime problem for a long time, though.
Worse than ever now.
Great music.
We have to go on this. I hope that Compton solves its crime problem. I hope that America finds a better place with this. All right, up next, the shocking influence of China.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.